As an experiment, let's imagine this story from the perspective of the money changers and the animal vendors. Are they the bad guys? After all, people traveled a long distance from Jerusalem for Passover, and it wasn't practical to make that trip with animals to sacrifice. And that's what obedient, faithful, religious people do. And Mosaic law called for a temple tax to be paid by every adult male Jew. That's the way things are. That's business as usual. That's just how life works. And that temple tax, well, it has to be paid in Syrian currency. Of course, it can't be paid with coins that have the emperor's image on them, which means people need to exchange their coins. And the money changers need to charge extra because they have to earn a living after all. You can't fault them for that. They don't make the rules. The money changers, the animal vendors, they're just doing their jobs. And if the temple tax, the cost of the animals, and those additional fees, well, if that means impoverished people who are already worn down by Rome's heavy taxes are forced into even more crushing poverty, well, that's just the way things are. That's business as usual. It's just how life works. And if all of this means that people go hungry and fall into debt, it's a shame. But again, you have to be realistic. It's what happens. It's just the way things are. And if this whole system doesn't line up with the Torah's teaching that genuine worship of God cannot be separated from care for the poor, the cultivation of community, God's people living in righteousness, well, come on, those prophets. They're poets, they're dreamers. We're not actually supposed to take that literally, right? There are institutions to be upheld, after all. There are people in power that you don't want to get on the wrong side of. You have to be practical. I mean, what can you do? You have to look out for number one and keep your head down. That's the way things are. That's business as usual. It's just how life works. Let's call this attitude the logic of the money changers table. This logic always creates exclusion, injustice, and more pain for people who are poor and on the margins. It creates division and mistrust, not because people are being evil on purpose, but because in a fallen and sinful world, power and status and wealth will accumulate for some and be denied to others. With the logic of the money changers table, you accept the status quo. That's just the way things are. Business as usual, just how life works. Jesus enters the scene and literally turns the money changers' tables and that logic upside down. Zeal for your house will consume me. Jesus will not accept business as usual because Jesus is on fire with the reign of God. Jesus is on fire with the vision of the prophets, justice rolling like waters, righteousness like a mighty stream, everyone beneath their vine and fig tree in peace and not afraid, all the people streaming to the Lord's mountain, swords into plowshares, spears into pruning hooks, no more training for war, the wolf and the lamb, the calf and the young lion resting in peace together. Jesus is filled with zeal for the reign of God, which operates by a whole different logic, the logic of the Eucharistic table. A table where there's room for everyone and where the poor and ashamed and hurting are not only welcome, but are given a place of honor. A table where power is for service. A table where leadership means getting down and washing one another's feet. Jesus' entire ministry is fueled by zeal for the reign of God, powered by this divine dream for all humanity and all of creation. This zeal causes him to weep for Jerusalem, to announce he came to bring fire to the earth, to share meals with people of every walk of life, to heal and restore those who'd been wounded and left out. And this zeal causes him to make a whip of cords, to disrupt the money changer's table and that logic. But this is not blind rage. Jesus has not lost control. This isn't a burn it all down energy. The Greek verb tense shows that Jesus had made a whip of cords ahead of time. This action was planned in advance. It was a prophetic display. Jesus interrupts the status quo to begin something new, to begin the logic of the Eucharistic table, where Jesus' body is the new and final temple, where God is worshipped in spirit and truth, and where people of every nation, tribe, and tongue gather as brothers and sisters. Well, what about us? What about you and me? We live in the world of the money changer's table, but we are people of the Eucharistic table. And we strive to live by Eucharistic table logic, rooted in the same prophets that shaped Jesus' imagination. A vision where every human life is respected, where the dignity of all is honored, where workers get fair pay and enough rest, where we're all one human family, all children of the same Creator, and the good things of creation are meant for everyone. You can hear the money changers now. Come on, be realistic. That's not how life works. But what if keeping this vision central helps us to move with more courage, more compassion, and a clearer vision? Helps us to recognize and reject lies told by money changer table logic? What if coming to Mass to share in the Eucharistic table, to hear stories of God's dream for the world, to hear the poetry of the prophets, to celebrate the saints on fire with this same divine dream, trains our hearts so that we can see as God sees, and it helps keep the world from changing us? What if keeping this vision central helps us learn what is ours to do, what small way we are called to act and pray in service of this dream? Not because we have to fix everything and solve all the problems of the world, because the position of Savior of the world has already been filled, but because God desires for us to share in the dream, to offer our few loaves and fishes to the effort. So as so many things are going terribly off course in our nation and our world, what if we ask God for the grace to live as Eucharistic table witnesses and for zeal to consume us too?